Okay, we're going to be drawing an eye here using pen and ink. I'm also going to be cross-hatching it with pen and ink. I've got several pens laying around. Here's a Millennium pen. Also have a Uniball pen. I'm actually not going to use either one of those pens. I'm going to use this Micron pen right here. And you can pick one of these up at the art store. They're fairly cheap, a few dollars. And I've started by drawing my eye with a 7H pencil. And now I'm going to just outline everything that I've drawn here. I've done a very simple drawing with the Micron pen. Now for this example, I wasn't using a photo reference. I think that you'll find it better success if you do have a photo reference to look at. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing the pupil of the eye, but I'm going to be very careful and leave an area for highlight. Highlight is the area where light is hitting the eye. It's going to make the eye appear to have some wetness. And then I'm going to go ahead and cross-hatch the pupil. Now I could just color it in solid, but I want everything to be cross-hatched on here, even the areas that are super dark. Now I'm going to begin to make lines coming out from the center of the pupil. It's actually on the iris, and most people have this pattern in their eye, so that's what I'm going to start with. And I'm going to be very careful to stay away from highlight. Don't want to draw in that area. And I'm going to repeat this process around the outside part of the iris. Now you'll notice I'm kind of leaving the middle part light. Most eyes are a little bit lighter towards the center of the iris, so I'm going to stay away from there. I'm also going to create some circular lines to create some cross-hatching around there and just build up the value. Since we're not working with color, we're going to be really focused on creating some grays, different values basically. So we're going to have some dark values, some dark grays, and some light grays, and some whites, of course. So I'm going to build these up here. Might make my pupil just a little bit darker, again, just by hatching and cross-hatching. Now I'm going to start adding some shading and some value around the outside portion of the eyeball. The eyeball is actually a ball inside of your head. So when you have your eyelid that lays over the top of it, it's going to create some shadow on there. So I'm going to go right underneath that. I'm just going to make vertical lines to begin with. I'm going to let those vertical lines go right on top of my iris. And there's going to be a little bit of shading on the bottom portion too. And I'll go back and start to cross-hatch that just a little bit to make the shadow just a little bit darker, just so it appears like my top eyelid actually does overlap my eyeball. Might make the iris just a little bit darker. Now I'm going to start adding some shadow and some value around the outside portion of the eye. I started just on the upper portion of the crease that happens right above your eyelid. That area is usually pretty dark, and your eyelid is actually just usually a little bit lighter than that. Now you also might notice that on the bottom portion of the eye, I'm leaving a little bit of space between the bottom part of the eye and where the skin comes out. That's because your skin is a little bit thicker underneath your eyeball, and you're going to see a little bit of a flap of skin there. So you want that shadow and that value to happen a little bit further away from the bottom portion of the eye. Now I'm going to go ahead and add an eyebrow. And if you've seen my video on how to draw an eye with graphite, I just kind of drew the shape and then started making lines. With pen and ink, you can't really do that because I guess you could do it with a pencil, but I didn't here. So I just started in the area where the eyebrow actually starts to grow, and then just kind of made lines coming out from there. And it's really easy to create the illusion of hair with when you're doing a drawing in pen and ink. A little bit of hatching on the side of the eye. Maybe I'll make this inner portion of the eye a little bit darker, just to give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional quality. A lot of people are really stiff with the pen and ink. I like to be a little bit looser, kind of cross-hatch freely. Gives me a little bit more freedom to create the lines that I want. Now I'm going to start with the eyelashes, and I'm going to start with the right side of the eye. I'm basically just making check marks that kind of go down and up. The closer we get to the center portion of the eye, the more vertical they'll go. And then on the left side of the eye, they're going to go in the opposite direction. They're actually going to check out to the left. You can see these on the right are checking out to the right. and as we get closer to the center, the more up and down these lines are going to go. A lot of times people make eyelashes actually too small. Eyelashes are actually pretty long, especially when you're drawing an eye close up like this. Now the eyelashes on the bottom portion of the eye are definitely a lot shorter, and they basically follow the reverse of the eyelashes on the top. So when they're on the bottom, they'll kind of go on the right side, they'll go up and to the right, and then come more vertical closer to the center, and then up and to the left. Now I'm just going to darken up the eyebrow just a little bit to create some contrast. Basically, this is a little quick sketch of how to draw an eye using pen and ink. And the drawing technique I used here was cross-hatching, but you can definitely do this with hatching or stippling or squiggly lines. It's been another video tutorial brought to you by the Virtual Instructor.